Well, hello ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video on the 11 Bang Bang channel. I'm your host, Ethan Woods. And today we're doing something that we don't do a whole lot, but there's not a whole lot of videos on this yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a review on a pretty modern firearm. And that modern firearm is this slightly tricked out here, Psa Ak-104. And I'll tell you what I think about it. It's a pretty sweet little rifle, to be quite honest. So let me tell you a little bit about this rifle right here. This is the PSA rifle, and PSA has caught a lot of heat here recently about their AK rifles, especially their AK-74s, which I have one. I actually really like the rifle, but today we're talking about the 104. And I will tell you this, I've ran roughly about, I'd say about 200-300 rounds through this rifle. I haven't had a malfunction yet. So that's good. I've also replaced the trigger here, and I have this ALG trigger, which is a very light trigger on the gun. And it just makes this a really phenomenal shooter. Now, for those of you wondering if this is an SBR, no, this is not an SBR. We have our extended booster, which you can get from PSA. They come on the rifle, and it is pinned and welded in place so it cannot be removed because, you know, Second Amendment infringements. All right, now let's get into the nuts and bolts of this rifle in particular. So the rifle is clear, just to show you. 100% clear. The magazine is not, we're on amber status. So the PSA AK-104 is not a true AK-104. It's actually an AKM, but it's dressed up like an AK-104. And it has all the important bits and bobs that you would expect on an AK-104. The one that really caught my eye is the side folding stock here, which we'll get into that in a second, one of the issues I have with it. But let's talk about the good things. This thing has been running 100% reliable. Haven't had an issue with it. It's a nice, handy little rifle. Like I said, I really love the folding stock. On the outside, this thing just looks like an AK-104. Now let's get into the downside of things. The inside of this rifle, like I said, it's not a true clone. It's got a thick stem bolt. Another thing is some of the fit and finish of this rifle. Now, I don't know if you can see it here, but this dust cover is loose, which is funny because everybody told me that the stock would be loose, which the stock is rock solid. On both this, the AK-104 and the AK-74, they're both rock solid little stocks on them. Another thing I had an issue with is whenever I actually go to fold the stock up and I close it, it won't actually line up perfectly. It's a little bit offline. So what I have to do is, once I unfold the stock, it loosens up a little bit. I just lift it up a little bit and push it in. The button, everybody talks about how the buttons are so stiff. This ain't much more stiffer than an Arsenal or anything like that. Aside from a few of the little cosmetic things, this rifle is really fun to shoot. Let's go take a few more shots with it. All right, so another thing I'd like to point out that's a pro on this rifle is this little lever right here. This safety selector, I've tuned it up to where I like it, where it's got a little bit of resistance. I mean, I've got to really push down, but if I really yank hard on it with my finger, it'll pop right to fire. So let's go ahead and take a few rounds of this rifle. I also might add that I put on this little micro dot. I have not zeroed this thing yet. But I will say that the brass ejection on this thing I'm really loving, because Caleb is standing over there about 20 yards away and he's getting pelted with brass. So good brass ejection. Yes, very fun. What do you know? I'm good at guessing. We're out of ammo. So what are my final thoughts on the PSA AK-104? Well, as a bit of an AK connoisseur myself, I think it's a pretty decent rifle for the money. Aside from a few of your little fit and finish things, which, I mean, there's very few. The finish on this rifle, the actual finish, is beautiful. I think it's good to go. I think it's a really good little rifle. So as always, trust in God. Keep your powder dry. Thanks for watching. Bye.